Hello, welcome back. Almost done with the tour. Of course, as soon as I finish painting the tour, I've been saying on social media, then we start the main event, which will be the Tour de France Femme, the return to the women's full-on stage race Tour de France. Now, it's not going to be 21 stages, and while part of me is disappointed about that, I don't think I have the stamina in me to do another 21 days of this. It's a blast and I love it, but it is tough and it takes a lot of time, and it does infringe on the rest of my life. In fact, today it's going to be, I'm actually like, oh, this is going to be tough, but I have to paint the race today. And then it's also my birthday. So I doubt I'll get this up on my actual birthday, but still. So I have to my birthday celebrations are going to be curtailed because of the tour. And that's what I mean about, yeah, it's just so much to this. And it's a big birthday. But let's just say I'm officially an old man now. So speaking of old men, this is one of the old men of the tour. Now, the criteria is a little different because I am a bit older than Philippe Gilbert, who turned 40 during this year's tour. And like I say, I'm a little bit older than that. But he's just rolling out on what will be his last time trial in the Tour de France and his second to last tour stage. He's already announced his retirement at the end of this season. Now, racers have announced their retirement and not retired in the past. I mean, come on, that happens in every sport. But we'll see if Gilbert sticks to his guns. Although in cycling, the people who announced and then not retired are a little bit older than Gilbert. But racing into your 40s at this level is impressive and uncommon. I mean, there's so many things, of course, that can go wrong and put you out of racing much earlier than that. But, you know, when you're good, Philippe Gilbert is a former world champion. He's a very impressive rider from a cycling, as they say, a cycling mad country. He's from Belgium. Former world champion, although not in this discipline, so he won't have the rainbow bands. He won't be wearing the rainbow bands today on his sleeves like he does in a road stage. But so he's definitely above and beyond most cyclists and still quite competitive at the tender young age of 40. But, you know, sometimes it's better to hang up the cleats while you still got it than to race into a career, race beyond when you're actually still good. You know, going out on a high note. Lance Armstrong could learn a thing or two about that. Had he never come back out of retirement, speaking of people who retired and came back, he never would have had his blood retested. And if he had never had his blood retested, he never would have returned a positive. Had he never returned a positive, we'd all still have questions about whether he doped, but we wouldn't know. So in his case, should have stayed retired. Sure, he's regretting that decision. So of course I have to call this farewell tour. So that's composition. And like normally now you would have the focus of your image at this side with open space in front. But again, trying to communicate speed, trying to force everything forward by putting him at this end, it's almost like, you know, when you take a picture and the person's moving too fast with the camera and you kind of miss them. That conveys speed just by nature of that composition. So I'm sort of using that thing that we recognize as meaning speed as a compositional element to help almost literally push the painting forward. So as always, starting light warm colors, because if I have to make a decision, a change like I have in the past, it's going to be easier to wipe up and paint over the yellow than it is to paint over the dark. You know, that is the thing with watercolors. And of course, this is a permanent pen, or otherwise I wouldn't be able to use the watercolors over it. That's the thing, you know, whenever you're using ink, you've got to make sure that your ink is not water soluble, because if it is, as soon as you lay the color over it, it will pick up the ink and make gray mud out of whatever it is you're painting. And I've had that where I've laid in the color or laid in the ink and then immediately tried to lay color over it. And these Sharpies is what I'm using. They take a few moments to dry. And so I have made some mud with them this tour. You know, patience is of your virtue, right? So TSOT is the official timekeeper of the tour, and they're also, you know, and they're a big sponsor, and they get their banners along the side of the road. They're a watch company, so logically they also sponsor the time trials, and you'll see their logos all along the course on any time trial course. And they're a big surprise, a Swiss watch company. So that's why this red cross, the Swiss flag. So I'm just working through the reds right now, making sure they're saturated enough. If I wanted it to be paler, less water. Want it to be darker, more water. I said that backwards. To quote Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, stop, reverse that. So paler color, more water, more intense, more saturated color, less water. All right, so I think that's at least the lion's share. I may have missed something more. I reserve the right to come back to it. So this is actually not going to be a whole lot of color in this image. Okay, I did just see something I missed. I missed some areas that should be yellow. One of them being so, see, I just made that pen mark, so I can't lay this blue. I'm tempted to show you what I mean. I'm going to intensify that blue just by laying in a little bit more of the saturate color on top of what's there already. And so now that line that I just made should be dry enough. That I can put that teeny triangle in there. Oh yes, and they also have, this kit has a bright blue stripe on one sleeve and a black stripe on the other. Fortunately for this painting, the stripe is on this side. Oh. So now I'm going to lay that little bit of yellow striping. And this yellow and blue has something to do with the bike lane on the regular roadway here. I can't quite read it, or it might be something they painted on the road for the start, because he's just come down the start ramp and is just starting out on the stage. Okay. Now, I'm going to get a little bit of blue. Just this inflatable here needs a little bit of shading on it, just to give it a little dimension. Then I'm going to mix up that black that I use. Actually, I've got some here already. And so you do end up, these little spots that I'm chasing around right now, is that the where you pick the brush up kind of leaves a little puddle. Which can be very frustrating. Sorry. The dogs have decided, that the trees are moving, so they have to bark at them. If you look at my Twitter feed, The Art of Cycling, there's been a thing this year about tour dog. And of course, people take their dogs to the tour, and some of them are foolish enough not to keep their dog on a leash. Hasn't happened this year, but there have been some spectacular crashes in the peloton when a big dog runs into the peloton. Forget. A couple of years back, a big Newfie got into the peloton and just basically decimated the field. And of course, it was a Newfie, so he was like, what was that? What happened? I didn't feel anything. Whereas bicyclists are flying everywhere. So now that this is, I can drag that out so I don't leave that spot behind now. So I'm going to do the roadway, and I just had to figure out, I'm just going to lay some so this is the crowd standing there watching. I have had the opportunity to watch some time trialing live from the side of the road. There used to be a semi-pro race in Richmond. It went through a couple of different names. Started as the Tour of America, then went to Tour de Pont for a number of years, and then I hate to say it was the Tour de Trump. Actually, the other way around. It was the Tour de Trump. Yes, it was named after that Trump. And before anybody knew just how ridiculous he was going to be. That was actually one of my first little fun cycling things. Was I made a cartoon of a bunch of cyclists racing around his rotund belly. So, enough time left. I'm almost done here. Remind you that, of course, the thumbs up, the likes, the follows all really help me get other people to see the work using the algorithms. So be sure to give me one or all of those. Plus, you can see the rest of the work at theartofcycling.blogspot.com. I just told you my Twitter handle, Art of Cycling. And, of course, the rest of my art is at gregleach.com. Thank you all so much. Really, truly appreciate you all taking the time to watch. Thank you.